you don't have a GitHub account and you want to participate, then you have the next 2 slides to sign up for GitHub. So we're going to talk about version control and why we need it. Version control is what we use so that we have backups to our original version, and also so we could work collaboratively on group projects without conflicting with someone else's contribution or code collaboration. And so we could keep our code organized, and we could see the task in the code that has been contributed. Version control systems help developer teams manage changes to their code over time. It definitely makes it more organized to collaborate. And with version control, if mistakes are made, you could restore back to a previous version. And then today we're going to use Git, which is a version control system. So open source is whenever the source code is available for a program and anyone can take a copy of that program and modify it and contribute to that code. So some open source programs, here it says Mozilla Firefox. So you could find the source code for Firefox, make changes locally on your own computer and submit it to be added to the source code. Other open source projects are like WordPress is open source, Drupal is open source. And if you're able to contribute to open source projects, job interviewers really like it, and it looks good on your resume. So the first thing that we need to do is you can create an account on GitHub. You need to download Git Bash to your terminal, and you could do it at this website. I'm gonna minimize this and I'll open my terminal so you could see the commands. You guys can see my, hold on, I need to move some stuff around here. So I could see the commands as well. I do this when I'm studying. I'm like using as much screen space as I can. Okay, so here I'm in my terminal. I want to first know where I'm at. So I'm going to publish working directory, and I'm where I need to be. I'm not in any folders or weird places on my computer. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you know what? I'm not going to do the first 2 commands because my Git is already configured. But if you want to check yours, this is a good first command to do. So if I were to do this, I do git config global, and then my username, and then mine is Anna Spencer. So I'm not going to do that because I don't want to reconfig my stuff, but I could check that it's set up by doing git config user.name, and that should tell me what my username is. And then the next thing I could do, just to make sure my email is correct, git config user.email, and then there's my email. So this tells me that my GitHub has been set up correctly and is configured to my local computer. And then the next thing we're going to do, so again, if you want to follow along, you might need a personal token, and you can find this in your GitHub account. You go to settings, developer settings, find your personal access token, copy it. I copy mine on my notes, my desktop, so I have it forever. And then this repository is the repo that we're gonna, actually, sorry, this is not correct. I don't think that's correct. This is where we're taking it from. So it's uawix-org/wix. And then if anyone has any questions.
We just had a few more people just join, so maybe if you
Okay.
guys have questions or if you want to.
If you
Go
could
over the
just give a
slides.
quick recap or something, that would be great.
Okay, so what we're doing right now is we're talking about GitHub. And if you haven't created an account and you want to follow along, you can do that now. I don't know how long that takes. You do need to download Git Bash. Of course, we're recording this, so you could always come back and watch it and follow along. To set your Git config, you would type in these commands. Git config global user.name and then your username, git config global user.email and then email. And I just demonstrated that mine's already configured, so I'll do it again. There it is. Does anyone have any questions so far? You can just unmute yourself and ask. I think that you might need your personal token to push your changes to the main UA Wix repo. So find that in your GitHub account and copy it down. And then, so this is where we were at basically. So you could look at, so if you're in GitHub, here, I'll show you. You can just do uawix.org. I'm just going to look in all of GitHub to find it. Okay, sorry, I've already found it. So this is where it is. This is the code, or this is the address. So, okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go to clone it. You're going to copy this address from the repo, and you do that. I could show you that here. By going to, so we're here on the repo, we get a code, and we're going to just copy it. Copy that address. Oh, I see. Wait, that address was up. Okay. So, and then you could do that.
You can also send that in the chat, right? So
yeah,
people don't individually have to go.
I'll send the address to the repo in the chat. And then just to make it easier, this is the clone address. I don't know if it will take you anywhere in a browser. Sorry, I can't find my, but it will, you use it to clone the repo, which I will show you right now. So I'm just going to do git clone and then that address. Never mind. I've already done this, so it doesn't want to do it again. But if you do it, it will make a folder called Wix. And to get to that folder, let me know again if I'm going too fast. So I'm going to cd into Wix. I did this, last night to test it out. Okay, so I'm here in my Wix folder, and I'm going to look at the status. Cool. So everything is up to date. And then in the next slide, this is where version control comes in. So there's several of us working on the website project, and those that are, you're going to create your own branch. And then if you want, while we're doing this, you can give me your GitHub username and I'll add you as a collaborator on the repo. So the way you create a branch is you could do it two ways. You could either do it in GitHub, main view, create a branch. So I'm going to make one that's called navbar and then my initials. So it's good practice when there's many people working on code to name your branch for the task that you're doing. Because as soon as you accomplish that task and then push it and it gets merged, you will delete that branch. And then this helps with if we need to go back into the Git log and see our history or change something, we could see exactly where the nav bar was added. So you could do it this way. I'm actually not going to do it that way. I'm going to do it on my terminal, and I'm going to follow this command. Once you learn the Git commands, it's actually just more convenient to do it. Cool. So, all right. So I've created a branch because it didn't give me any errors. So I'm going to check and make sure it's there. And if anyone else is adding a branch, I might see it. Okay. So I don't want to work on main. I want to work on my navbar branch. So I'm going to type git checkout navbar, my initials. And then, so now if I do git branch again, I could see that I am on my branch. And then let me make some changes here so you could see. So while I'm here on my branch, I'm going to list the files. And I think I'm going to add a new file. So if I do echo test text, and then let's say demo file. So I'm adding some text to a TXT file, and then I want to add it. So let's ls again. Is my demo here? It is. It's there. So I have made a change to the code. And then to see my change, I'm going to say git status. And there it is. It says, hey, here's this file, and it's not being tracked, which means I haven't added it yet. So I'm going to do a git add space. I always forget the space, and then period. And then now I'll do a git status, and it should tell me that it added it. Yes, it's there. So now I'm going to commit. And whenever I'm committing, I'm only committing to my branch. So git commit. And then, so whenever you make a commit, you need to add a message exactly what you did. This again helps with version control when we need to go back and see how things were added and changed and when they were changed and where exactly we could go back and, like, if we need to delete those changes or whatever, we could see where it is. So the message I'm going to write. So I've been told you should always start these with a verb. So I'm going to say added demo txt file. And then that's it. Cool. So now I'm going to push my change to my branch from the origin. So I should be able to see it on GitHub. And says, yes, it made these changes to the remote, which is here. Tell me, aha, okay. So now in GitHub, it said, hey, you pushed this, let's take a look at it. And then here you could compare it to main or request it to merge with the main code. So let's say that this text file is actually a navbar that I created and I want to add to the website. So I'm going to say created navbar. I mean, we really know it's just a demo text. And then I'm going to submit that pull request. And whenever I'm submitting this pull request, I'm asking the main repo. Am I in Wix here? No, I'm not. I'm in my GitHub account. Let me stop sharing so I could log into the Wix GitHub. And then I could show you what it looks like from that end.
While Anna's doing that, does anyone have any questions so far or need to backtrack a little bit?
I was also following along, but we might need to show how to do the access token thing because it's asking for
Oh, for access
authentication.
token? Okay, I'll show you that right now. Oh, wait. Okay. Okay, I thought that might happen, but it only happened with me once, so I wasn't sure how to like recreate that scenario in case it happened again. Okay, so here I'm in UA Wix GitHub. So this is the main repo, right? So this is the one that you're copying code from. So first, to get your token, you go here to your account, you go to settings, and then on the side of settings, you're going to go to developer settings and then personal access token. And what you need to do is you need to generate one. I'm not going to do it. But you say what it's for. So you say Wix website. You give yourself, I can't type. You give yourself the access that you need. So you definitely need repo access. This other stuff, not really, unless you're doing a little bit more advanced things. And then you generate the token and it will show you here. And that's the only time it's going to show you. So you have to copy it. Like you could see mine. Here's all my little tokens. I don't remember what they're for, so you can't exactly steal it and use it for anything. Okay. Does that clarify that? If not, we could go back to it. So anyways, we're here back on our website repo. And it says I have 2 pull requests. So this is what Wix website will see on their end. And here I see, this is what I tested. This is what we just did. So let's take a look at it. I'm gonna say, okay, this branch has no conflicts, meaning it's not gonna conflict with any existing code. It'll just fit in nicely. It shows me what file was changed and it shows me the code itself. So if you remember, I just added text that said this and I created this file. Okay, so I am going to merge this. I don't know, looks good. Good job, Anna. Okay, so I'm going to merge this. I'm confirming. All right, so it's successful. And then on my end, I would delete my branch. So I'll delete it here because we only want to use 1 branch per task. All right, so I'll get back to the slideshow. Okay, so this is, we're just kind of going over what I just did. So best practices for using Git. Git can get pretty messy. And because this is introductory version control in Git, I'm not going to cover how messy things can become. But essentially, if you push code that conflicts with someone else's code, then you're going to get a Git conflict. And this is when we would look at our Git log, we would find the SHA, which is a number that is assigned to that, that Git push, and then we'll deal with it there. Or we could see how our code how, let's say my coworker's code and my code are conflicting, we could go through line by line to see the conflict and where we need to change that. So that being said, best practices, never work on the main branch on a collaborative repo. Create and use your own branch. And then keep your branch up to date. So whenever you okay, so let's see, where am I right now on mine? I think I'm still on my branch, but let's just double check. Yes, I'm still on my branch. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use this. I'm going to delete this later. Git checkout main. Okay, so I'm on main. The next thing I'm going to do, I want to work with the most, let's say I'm going to do a different task now. I want to work with the most recent version of the code. So to do this, I need to do, so I didn't test this, so maybe I'll run into a conflict and then you could see me give up on a Git conflict. Git fetch origin main. Oh, I did this wrong. Okay. All right, then this is what I'll do. Okay, cool. So it's giving me the origin and now I want to reset. So now I've pulled the main code locally and now I want to reset. So I'm going to do git reset origin. And then let's see what the status is. Okay, so by pulling origin, what I did on accident really was I deleted my files that I just added. So I'm like, I'm going to stop here because I'm about to start getting into Git conflicts. But basically what has happened is I pulled the main repo from GitHub on top of my local version of the code. So it's deleting what I just did when I do this. I'm not going to commit this. In fact, I'm just going to put this away. So yeah, and then when working locally, commit changes to your branch early and often. So pretty much if you make a bunch of changes and you don't commit after every major change, then you're going to have to do all of those changes again. So this might be, it might be okay when you're adding just a few elements here or there, but if you added a whole nav bar and then let's say a whole chunk of text, you might lose one of those pieces if you don't commit enough. And then write descriptive messages. Okay, what's the next slide here? So here is, I'll just go to this link because it's a pretty good one and we have time. So there's a ton of good resources on Git that will give you like commands to use. This is a really good infographic because it kind of explains how we work. So you have a working directory, you're going to pull it from the remote, which is the remote is our main working code on the Wix GitHub, right? So you're going to pull it, you're going to add some stuff on your branch, you're going to commit that locally to your own computer, and then you're going to push it to remote. And this is when, whenever you're working for like a company, they'll say, we're going to do your code review. So here are, I think we used all of these. We didn't merge. Oh, and here's a good tutorial if you want to use that. Okay. And then here's another good best practices link. And here's some more. So again, the slides are available and this is recorded. So you could go back through the tutorial, skip over the part where I was messing up. But yeah, that's kind of like Git conflicts and fixing your mistakes is kind of that would be part 2 of intro to Git, really. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Or was anyone following along and got stuck somewhere that I might be able to help with?
You have to add us personally to be able to push.
I think I do. If you have your Git screen name or I mean username, you could directly send it to me now and I can add it. Or we could add that later. Okay, perfect. So I'm getting some names. I'm not sharing anymore, right?
No, you're not.
Okay. All right. So does anyone else have experience with Git?
Has anyone used GitHub before?
So I have used it in my, I was telling Simran, I did not use it in my first and second year classes. I think I might have used it for one junior class and I'm using it now in my first, my schedule is kind of weird. So I'm in my first semester, my senior year, and I'm using it again for another class. So it's only 2 classes that I've used it in. And then for my job, we use Drupal, which is like WordPress, and it has its own built-in version control, which is actually kind of on top of Git. So it does use Git commands, but there is like a user interface. So I don't have to do this like terminal stuff yet. And then what else? Oh, so if you have a code editor that you like, I use VS Code. VS Code also has version control and Git built in. It's integrated really nicely. So kind of at the beginning of this presentation, maybe the second or third slide that I showed where you added Git, you configured your global.username. You can do that also to your code editor. So you config GitHub and Git with your code editor.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Drupal, and the university uses Drupal for all of their websites. So if you go on the main library website that is built using Drupal, our club is doing a website redesign as well. So we have a whole website team and we're trying to rebuild our website. So we're using GitHub and we have a repository through there. But yeah, so if you guys are interested in, maybe being a part of that and contributing to the website, definitely let us know, because next week is going to be a meeting for that, where we will be using like what we learned in this workshop to make local changes to our computer and kind of start building the website. So yeah, and no, you don't need to have former experience to help out at all. It's kind of the way that we're structuring it is we are kind of giving out a plan and you kind of learn as you go. So if you don't know any like web dev languages, we will be doing, I think we'll probably do a CSS workshop and HTML CSS workshop soon. But we kind of just cover the basics and then have you guys delve in and learn on your own, because that's kind of part of being a software engineer as well. So yeah, if you guys are interested in that, let us know. Anna, do you have anything else to add? Or
yeah, I just want to say that if you are participating on the web team for the website project, we're going to post this video and you could refer back to the first portion where you pulled the main code to locally to your computer. And then that way you could open it up in VS Code or whatever code editor and then start working on it. If you know how to do that, or you could find a tutorial on how to do it as well. But our next web team meeting is when we're going to start going over HTML and CSS. So it'd be good if you have a local copy like ready to go to work on.
Yeah, and so our next website meeting will be next week, and that is when we'll be doing covering HTML and CSS. And like Anna said, there's so many resources out there, including us as well. If you do have any questions, we have a questions channel in our Discord, but there are so many resources out there. So definitely just try and like dive into it, and you'll get a lot out of it. But yeah, so otherwise next week is our website meeting. And then if you are not part of the website project, the week after that, we will be going over and preparing for the career fair. So that includes establishing a handshake profile, updating resumes, and refining your elevator pitches. We'll be helping you guys with that and doing a workshop for that. So that way we can get everyone prepared for the career fair. But other than that, that's it for our meeting today. Thank you guys for coming. We see some new faces, so if you want to hang back and introduce you guys, we'd love to get to know you. But otherwise, that is it. So thank you.